Good afternoon and welcome to the first broadcast from the 2014 USBC Women's Championships live at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center. We're getting ready to just finish up practice here. Linds Northern Stars out of Minnesota will be our feature team here on our first look at the team event. We'll be starting up in just a few moments. Aaron Smith and Matt Cannizzaro bringing you all the action from the 4 p.m. team event here at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be right back.
We are ready to begin. Ladies, your pins are set, your arrows are up, and you begin your team event. Good luck to go in and have a wonderful time this afternoon.
All right, so here we are underway, the very first broadcast from the 2014 USBC Women's Championships. Glad to be back at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center. One more time, this is Matt Cannizzaro and Aaron Smith. And a nice change of scenery for us. We're across town now after spending the last 60 or 70 days over at the National Bowling Stadium. Our first chance to come and check out the action here, on the live stream at least, at the Women's Championships, and we got a couple of talented teams here from Minnesota, the Linds Northern Stars. And we'll go down the lineups here in just a minute, and of course, the top scores of this year's event. Things kicked off here April 11th, and will continue until June 30th. So, a lot of room left, a lot of great teams headed this way. And of course, some considerable changes here at the Women's Championships in 2014. For the first time in history, and this event dates back to 1916, we have 4-player teams here at the WC, so very well received. Makes it a little bit easier to pair off for doubles, and of course for room assignments and such, even fitting in a rental car at times. So a little bit more convenient for the bowlers here. Just 4-player teams and a return to an all-scratch format. For the first time since 2009. We tried things a little bit differently here in 2010, where we introduced handicap to the Women's Championships, and now, just a couple years later, things are a little bit different. So back to the all-scratch format and new divisions. We've gone to 4 divisions in the team event and 6 average-based divisions for doubles and singles. So certainly an opportunity for bowlers of all ages and skill levels to come to the Women's Championships and succeed on the tournament lanes, and of course enjoy the fantastic venues that Eric Pearson and Greg Moore and their crew have put together in the first convention center setting for the Women's Championships back in 2010 as well. And again, very well received. Certainly has that championship feel to it with the banners hanging from the rafters. Of course, last year's champions, the bright lights and the big scoreboard. Stacktronic scoreboard, the largest mobile scoreboard of its kind. And it's all here to give these ladies the biggest stage in women's bowling, the world's largest participatory sporting event for women. and they come from all 50 states and several foreign countries to try to get their names hanging above the lanes here. And that's just some of the background here at this year's event. Aaron Smith, of course, this is his house, so he's got all the main details and all the goodies. And of course, you can always find us on Facebook and Twitter. And every tidbit that we can share with the world, we certainly like to do that. Whether it's a high score or a very interesting story. We've had a couple 50-year participants here in 2014 already, a few more coming up soon. But you can find us at the Sport of Bowling USBC and of course the official USBC Open and Women's Championships Facebook page, where we really give all kinds of great advice and tidbits, and you guys can get on there and share with each other about your experiences and some of the things you enjoyed along the way. And anytime on Twitter at USBC Matt, and at USBC Aaron. So don't miss a minute of the action from either the USBC Open or Women's Championships. You can find all the news, notes, scoreboards, leaderboards, pictures, you name it, on bowl.com. Each tournament has its own page with lots of great details and information, so check that out.
Dynamite drop in there, Matt. Yeah, quite a lot going on here in Reno, as you mentioned there, and right now all eyes on lanes 17 and 18 here at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center for Linds Northern Stars. On the top on lane 17, Dawn King, Gloria Gates, Ryan Oswood, and Paula Mills make up the team on 17. I think the full names are hold on, I had to take a selfie there with Matt Cannizzaro. It's really awkward when you're talking on the air and trying to take a photo of us doing this. And try not to laugh on air as well.
That's what the people want, sir.
But Linds Northern Stars with Dawn King, Gloria Gates, Ryan Oswin, Paula Mills, that's actually they have one team gold, one team silver. I'm not sure if it's enough room on the scoreboard to catch all that. But then on 18, the Linds Northern Stars silver, Carla Wico, Michelle Mackey, Michelle Lapouche, and Heather Grambo. So those are groups we're looking at. This team usually bowls pretty early in the event every year. Usually puts up a pretty decent score as well. So last year Ryan Oswood kind of paced the way, moved into the top 10 in scratch singles. Very nice individual effort. So they'll be our first group we get to look at here at the Women's Championships, kind of get a look to see what the team event is doing. The score they're chasing right now, 25-55, set by Junior Team USA Support 1 a few weeks back. Very talented group, featuring Kristen Warzinski, Andy Tadelio, Brandy Sanderson, and Kyoko McDonald. So that was their first year bowling. So basically plus 155 for them when it was all said and done. So that's the number these ladies are aiming for right here.
Tell you what, I know you've been kind of diving into this Women's Championship stuff here for the last couple of weeks and getting the scores, and it's hard to get used to the four-player teams and seeing some of the numbers on the standings. And but you've had a chance to talk to some of the players as they've come through, and any feelings, any support for the changes? I know the ones I've talked to, at least coming over to the National Bowling Stadium and my few times over here, as I mentioned earlier. Just makes things a whole lot more convenient. The ability to travel easier, to not have to worry about that fifth person for doubles and singles or bringing a sixth. And it's something that state and local tournaments have done for many years now. And it really seems to be catching on here. So any feedback on your end?
You pretty much hit all the points on the head. Obviously, for some groups, it was tough to make that decision on who would move to another team, perhaps, or our defending scratch champions. I know that was a tough choice for them, but at the same time, they were happy to be the last 5-person team to take home a title here at the Women's Championships. But for the most part, it has been received well. Like I said, it's a different pace of play. It's a little bit smaller group, so a little bit more room for everyone in there. Obviously, it works out much better for doubles pairings. If you're only bringing the one team, you don't have to worry about who may not bowl or who has to find a sub at the last second. And it's just been it's been good so far. So we've been moving along. Obviously, we got started, then we stopped a few days for the Expo Lane Intercollegiate Team and Singles Championships. And but now that squads are going pretty much full squads from here on out. So
yeah, certainly great to see the lanes filled, and 39 teams on this squad, I believe, from 13 states. So very well represented, and a lot of great action the rest of the way, and all the way till June 30th. And we have a pretty good live stream schedule coming up here from the Women's Championships, and especially busy during Queens Week. USBC Queens, of course, and the Senior Queens being held in Reno the last week of June into the first week of July. And that's going to be at the National Bowling Stadium, but a lot of those players planning their trip to where they can bowl all 3 events in one trip, easy, one plane ticket, take care of it, bowl the Open Championships, Women's Championships, and of course, compete for the tiara. So looking forward to that week. Most of our defending champions will be here around that time, and we'll of course have them on the broadcast as well. And then throughout the event, some top players and just some interesting players along the way. And you can find the live stream schedule on bowl.com, either on the tournament page under the information tab or on the right hand side of the main page of bowl.com down in the right hand corner. It will show you what's coming up, not just here, but in the rest of the bowling world. Of course, our associate Lucas Wiseman, the globetrotting Lucas Wiseman, always on his way to somewhere to live stream something, so check that out. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you won't miss any of the updates or upcoming broadcasts. Of course, you can go on there as well and check out archived broadcasts from earlier this year at the Open Championships, or after we're done here today. If you missed any of today, you can check that out.
certainly so, Matt. A lot of great stuff there. And I talked to one or two of the team members before we got started today. Maybe a little bit nervous about being on the live stream. But they obviously look great in their team uniforms here, and they've actually got off to a pretty strong start. Just a few opens up on the board so far. They're moving right along. But really, in talking to them, they really didn't have a game plan to the sense. They're just going to kind of head out to the lanes and see what they find. Obviously, this group's been bowling together for a few years here, and not only back home in Minnesota, but here at the Women's Championship, so they know how to figure out these lane conditions pretty quick and get an idea. So that's obviously one of the goals tournament manager and lane condition extraordinaire Eric Pearson goes for, having the ability to play multiple angles here, both the Women's and the Open Championships. So there's certainly a few ways to attack this pattern, and we'll get a first-hand look to see how these ladies take care of business.
Well, certainly a tough task, as you mentioned, for Eric and the Kegel crew. Of course, Kegel, the lane maintenance provider here at these main tournaments, the Open and Women's Championships. But to be able to find a pattern that is fair from all angles, both sides of the lane, is especially challenging. Of course, you want to keep the lanes challenging enough for a national championship, but playable enough for everyone to find success. So I think they do a fine job every year coming out and testing different patterns and coming up with something that's certainly generated some excitement and some good scores so far this year. We saw just before we walked in almost 11 in a row. So definitely playable this year, and some good numbers so far. Of course, you'll get into the leaderboards and all that much more as we progress through this broadcast. But I talked to Eric a little bit earlier about how things were moving on his end as far as the flow of the new format and everything. And just, again, great reviews. The pace of play, as you mentioned, a little bit different, a little bit quicker now with the 4 players compared to 5. But, we're within a few minutes of the squad time today, and everything seems to be moving along nicely. So, congrats to them on making some good changes here, and hopefully seeing some good things as we move forward to 2015 and beyond. Of course, down the road, some great new cities down the line for the Women's Championships. And we'll have coming up next year back to the National Bowling Stadium and the introduction of the USBC Mixed. So a great opportunity for families and friends to travel together, and again, both multiple events in one trip. The ladies will be able to compete in the Women's Championships and then take the lanes again with their friends or husbands or cousins or brothers or whatever to compete in the USBC Mix. So similar format, similar divisions, which we're kind of seeing it as a stepping stone for some tournament players who may be on the fence or a little tentative about coming to the Open Championships, for example, where they feel that they may not be able to compete necessarily. Their averages might not be to the level that they would hope before they start traveling across the country for a tournament like that. But an opportunity there to test the waters in the average-based divisions all the way down to 125 and below, 129 and below. So something for everybody. And then, of course, down the road after that, Las Vegas, Baton Rouge, Mobile, Alabama, Wichita. A lot of exciting things coming up here at the Women's Championships and the USBC Mix. So looking forward to all that, and looking forward to seeing the Linds Northern Stars and seeing what they can do here in 2014.
All right, stepping up on 18, Carla Wico. Struck every time on 18 so far. Can she get another one? That's a little high there. 6-7. Nice shot by Dawn King. Carla just misses there. Keeps it on the lane. Going for the 6-7. Just misses the 6. Would have clipped it. Nice shot by Michelle Mackey on 18. Looks like the plan out here is pretty straightforward. Everyone's kind of right around the track right now. Looks like using a little bit more aggressive equipment. See a few what appears to be Brunswick masterminds out there.
Yeah, certainly easier when the balls are recognizable. Last year we saw a lot of the gold balls, the IQ Pearl from Storm, and always helps so we can bring the correct information to everybody watching. We do appreciate you being here today. We're live at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center. Our very first broadcast from the 2014 USBC Women's Championships. So, a chance to see something a little bit different. The lane condition here at the WC this year, 41 feet and 22.946 mils out there. So, the opportunity to see, of course, with the different ball speeds and styles of play, different types of equipment. We saw a little bit of surface here going down the lane on this featured pair during practice, and seems to be the game plan here early on, at least.
Paula Mills bounces back nicely with the strike there. Solid 5th frame for Linds Northern Stars Gold up on top on 17. I said, we have a few other live streams from the Women's Championships coming up here in May. May 14th, we'll have our defending Scratch Team champion, Eagles Edge Pro Shop, making their return to the Reno-Sparks Convention Center, where they shot the lights out last year.
Literally.
Literally, we did have a power outage in the middle of their third game. They were eyeing the all-time record. They're able to bounce back from that. Obviously, a lot of concerns, losing your momentum, all they had going, but they were able to maintain. Uh-oh. Looks like Dawn went a little too far there. Some issues sticking on the approach. Ended up following. Get her shoe situation fixed here. We'll get back to business in just a moment here.
All right, so Aaron, you mentioned Eagles Edge Pro Shop, and they're very excited, of course, to win last year's team title, and then on top of that, to be the very last 5-player team to win here at the Women's Championship. Certainly something that they're going to remember for many, many years to come. But now, of course, hoping to become the first 4-player team champion here at the Women's Championships. A very talented group.
Very, very true, Matt. They'll be back on May 14th. We'll be bringing that to you live here on Bolt TV at 7 p.m. Reno time, 10 p.m. Eastern. And then our final live stream of May, defending Scratch Singles Champion, Jeanette Adams will be back. We'll show her doubles and singles on May 25th. Take a break. We'll have a few live streams from the Open Championships, and then, as you already mentioned, the calm before the storm, when everybody makes their way out to Reno just before the Queen starts on June 27th. We're going to have nearly a week straight of live streams coming to you right here from the RSCC, showcasing some of the top female bowlers in the world.
Well, certainly a great opportunity for us these past 2 years now to be able to cover both events in one host city. Very convenient, just 3 or 4 miles apart, and the opportunity to be over here when the big things happen, and of course to have a presence at the Women's Championships and spend our days and nights at the Open Championships and be able to live stream both events and show our great venues off to the world. It's been a great run. Still a few months to go, and next year we go our separate ways again. And the Open Championships headed to El Paso, Texas for the first time, and it's what would be 112 years of competition. And the Women's Championships was there in 2010, the very first convention center built for the WC. The ladies loved it. They raved about it. Aaron loved it. Spent many months there and enjoyed the city. Looking forward to that. And then, of course, as we mentioned, the Women's Championships and the USBC Mixed heading across town to the National Bowling Stadium. So it'll be a little bit different for us after being one big happy family in one city here for these 2 years. Should be interesting to see how we handle things a little bit differently in 2015.
Looks like Dawn's still trying to get her shoe situation settled here. It's important to take your time, make sure that that's all good. Ed, you mentioned some of the scores already this year. We'll just give you a quick rundown of what's leading the top divisions. As we said, a little different this year. There's one new division and team event. We added the Emerald division in between Ruby and Sapphire. Diamond is still for the highest average bowlers and works its way down. Ruby, Emerald, and Sapphire. And then for double singles and all events, we've moved from 3 to 6 divisions. So divisions 1 through 6. Lady Diamond, once again, the score these ladies are trying to reach. 25-55, set by Junior Team USA Support 1, Kristen Warzinski, Andy Tadelio, Kyoko McDonald, and Brandy Sanderson.
It sounds like if you want to find success at these national tournaments, you need to name your team Junior Team USA Support.
It does seem to help. Leading in doubles currently, Jan Schmidt and Sarah Germano, 13-11 in Division 1. For Division 1 singles, Lisa Kelly with a 299. right, folks, I think we're back in business. Had a little issue with one of the cameras freezing up. That's why the sound went bad. Hopefully we are good to go the rest of the way. Please leave us a comment in the section if everything's, if you're hearing us all right in the chat room. Should be good to go now. Once again, sorry for the delays, but we're now back. Linds and Northern Stars up in the 7th frame. Here in Game 1, their team event at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center for the 2014 USBC Women's Championships. This is Aaron Smith and Matt Cannizzaro bringing you the action live. First of several broadcasts this year from this fantastic venue. Home of the Women's Championships for 2 straight years. right, folks. Hopefully we are back in good running order. The cameras is giving us a little bit of trouble here, and that's why we're losing the sound, and it's making some interesting noises for everybody. But hopefully we have third time's a charm. Hopefully we're resolved here. Once again, sorry for the delays and any inconveniences here, but we are just getting ready for the 10th frame for Linds Northern Stars Gold and Silver out of Maple Grove, Minnesota. This is Aaron Smith and Matt Cannizzaro trying not to break too many cameras at one time. Hopefully everyone is back and we can hear us all right and we keep everything going. Give you a quick recap as we come down to the 10th frame here. 25.55, the number these ladies are aiming for in the Diamond Division, set by Junior Team USA Support 1. It's looking like they might be a little bit behind pace to start here today. They still have 2 games to get everything going. All right. All right, folks. All right, hopefully we're all right, folks. Hopefully we are back with the sound. I apologize once again for any difficulties. Had one of the cameras freeze up, which in turn made the sound have some issues. So hopefully everything sounds back to normal. We're just wrapping up the 10th frame here at game number 1. Linds Northern Stars Gold. $156, $194, $200. Paula Mills can.
All right, Aaron Smith. Can you hear me, Mr. Smith? We're back in business here, I think.
I can barely hear you, Matt.
You can barely hear me. Well, we are up nice and loud. How's that? Sound a little bit better?
Sounds much better.
All right. I think
For all of you still waiting in the chat room, please let us know if this is if this sounds good, acceptable. We do apologize for all the issues. We had one camera go down, kind of put everything into a tailspin here. We think it is all up, so please leave a comment in the chat room if you can hear us all right. Once again, we apologize for any inconvenience. We wanted to go with the 3 scoreboard look here, obviously. With one camera down, we'll go back and forth between the scoreboard and the action on the lanes. They are currently in just starting the 8th frame of game number 2. We'll go to that in just a second after Michelle fires her shot on 18.
All right, as soon as we get the okay that things are sounding good, I'm going to step out and let the man of the hour, Eric Pearson, tournament manager, step in and talk a little bit about the women's championships. And I'm going to sit by and work on some things and just make sure things are going smoothly. So as soon as we get that green light and a thumbs up, you'll be Canizaro free here for a little while. And we'll continue to keep an eye on things as we go. But it's one of those things. We don't know what we did, but it appears to be working. So. We appreciate everybody sticking with us through this this unfortunate audio circumstance. Hopefully the Linds Northern Stars aren't too upset with us afterwards. I know we had one last year with our very own Chip McKee at the National Bowling Stadium that things didn't go quite so smoothly and it's lost forever. So hopefully that's not the case here.
As we mentioned, we lost the pins cam and kept freezing up on us. That's where the original sound issues came from. We were running our audio through that, so hopefully we can go back and forth without any issues and occasionally show you the scoreboard. Looks like Joy Corbett is hearing us all right. Chris Martin still having some issues, so please let us know, Chris. Chris can hear us now, so I think we might be good to go here. Once again, we appreciate everyone sticking with us here, fighting through all of our camera and audio issues, but it looks like we are good to go now. Once again, we'll go back and forth between scoreboard when we can. Matt Canizaro, thank you for all your help.
All right, looks like everything's good. So we fixed it. We troubleshot the whole thing and put out a fire. So at least we'll get to enjoy about a game and a half here. And of course the sweet sounds of Eric Pearson coming up here in just a minute. So Aaron Smith, I'm gonna let the boss man come in and do his thing. And you guys run the show here. It's of course your house. So I'll let you guys take over and I'll be nearby and I'll be watching.
All right, thank you, Matt. Once again, we are just getting ready for the 9th frame of game 2 here. Cut to the scoreboard in just a second. After Heather attempts to convert the 6-pin. She's all over it, not a problem. Here's a look at the scoreboard getting ready for the 9th frame. and Eric Pearson. Welcome to the live stream booth.
Hello, Aaron Smith.
Well, thank you for bearing with us while I went through some technical difficulties there, but here we are. Getting ready to start the ninth frame of game number 2 here. 7:21 and 6:98 in the opener. But we got some strikes starting to pile up here for the team on 17, the Linds Northern Stars Gold.
Looks like there's a couple ladies lined up here. As the game moves along, a couple others just kind of plugging along, grinding out, and still a couple, one bowler on each team kind of looking to try and find their way here. See a lot of surface from probably almost half the bowlers on the pair. I'm kind of wondering if it's maybe a little too much.
Looks like a lot of them started out with a little more aggressive cover stocks and cores to begin their day.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a fairly good amount of friction on the outside of the lane, just with the way the pattern is built. 3 2-2s in the pattern, 41 feet. A little bit higher mic streams on those outsides to keep the volume a little bit higher, help keep the ratio of the pattern within that blue range, not a sport condition. But I would imagine if they're squared up on the outside part of the lane, there's probably maybe early hook for stronger stuff. So maybe a few of them, sense that and migrated a little bit in, try to get more into the heavier concentration of oil inside of where the oil starts to build up, 7 board, 8 board. Definitely once you get inside of 10, there's a little bit more build up. There was a great shot on 18.
It looks like Ryan's actually migrated a little bit left like you talked about from the first game. She went 200 on the nose.
Okay.
Working on a 3-bagger now, and 6 out of 7 here to get ready for the 10th frame.
And there, I mean, that was a great shot. She looks like a little bit shinier ball, so sometimes maybe you can get fooled and maybe you think you need more surface when you don't necessarily see the ball make a strong enough move, but quite possibly something slightly cleaner, shinier might give you that more of that front to mid lane push where the ball then is able to pick up a little bit sharper on the back end, which it looks like that's what Ryan is doing now. She's migrated in, and that ball actually got to the back end of the pattern and made a real aggressive move back to the pocket, and it's hitting the pins with a lot of authority. Some of the other bowlers look like they're kind of trying to force the ball, trying to force it up the lane and kind of help it get to the pocket. Hard to say, every bowler has a different feel for what the lane's doing based on what I'm noticing here. A couple of the bowlers have a much higher ball speed, and then a lot of times that bowler might also have the slightly lower rev rate, so I can see where it'd be much more challenging for that bowler to find a really good consistent read out there. Slower tempoed ball speeds obviously are going to see the lane a lot easier. That bowler can then therefore throw something a little bit shinier or less aggressive.
All right, that was some great insight from Eric Pearson. Obviously, we talked about a little bit earlier before we had the issues with the camera and the sound, but just about how when creating these patterns, you want to give the folks a chance to be able to get to the pocket and score from multiple angles right from the get-go. What was when you and the folks from Kegel sat down this year? Just what were the differences from last year? Obviously, being at the same venue, you got a brand new machine this year, the Kegel Flex. But just what kind of small changes did you guys make to?
Yeah, not a lot.
I mean, actually, 2014.
Not a lot of drastic changes. Very similar to last year. Kind of along the same lines of what we did for the Open team event. Try to go a little bit longer, but not necessarily make the lane feel tighter. For the majority of ladies that come here, they're used to bowling on house conditions where either the outside of the lane is dry boards or the back end's hook. So we want to make sure there's enough friction for the wide variety of bowlers we have. So we went a little bit longer. And we try to incorporate a couple of the features that the new lane machine has. So variable mic streams. You know, we didn't just use the standard 50 microliters per board. We did a couple different loads in the pattern where the mic streams are a little bit varied, and just a little bit with the buffer speeds to try to create a little bit different taper in the pattern. With the goal being to not have the ball just feel like, you know, it's pushing all the way down the lane and the lanes are really super tight. To me, if you're going to create multiple angles, there has to be a hook down the lane. So they're not that different than last year. We like to stay in that range, like I said, you know, 5-to-1 ratio, and just go, you know, create decent ball reaction. I'm sure there's a lot of ladies that come here and still say they're really, really oily because it's not like they are back home. But for this type of bowler, the stronger bowlers, there's plenty of hook and different angles to play. The more ball you throw, obviously, the deeper on the lane you have to be. That might play a little bit different than, say, the Open, where it is a flatter sport pattern. Where here, with a slightly higher ratio, I'm not saying it plays like a league shot, but it tends to have more of those tendencies. Where if you're too straight on the outside, you might see too much hook, and you move into the oil, and you see the ball float a little bit easier. But definitely not to the point where you can just throw it forward and have it hit the pocket. As you can tell, you know, some of these ladies are really lined up, and some are kind of struggling to find a field to find consistent reaction.
Dawn King finished up there, 192 with a strike on the fill ball. Carla Wico, 172 with all three in the 10th. So those ladies are going to have to start striking quite a bit here to get to that 25-55 number, but it looks like Michelle's contemplating a ball change here after almost leaving a 5-7 on her first shot of the 10th.
Yeah, also, the bowler on lane 17 also looks like they're throwing something fairly strong. I can't tell with all the bowling balls out there today. I mean, I would assume that looks like if it's a newer ball, it's got some orange in it. I'm assuming it's a Brunswick Mastermind, but to me it kind of has that old virtual gravity look to it. So I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's very controllable, but it's not giving her a lot of sharp motion down the lane, which is what I think she needs to get the corner pins out.
Just like that. Fantastic shot on the fill ball for 157 for Michelle Mackey. That kicked out that 10 pin without a problem.
You know, this is very common. You see this both here and at the Open, that it's really hard to get your whole team lined up at the same time, throwing quality shots and seeing the pins react the way they need to.
Ryan Oswood has the right look right now. Still has 240s out there. Once again, she started off with 200 in game number 1. Like you said, looks like she's using something maybe with a little polish on it.
Yeah, it may still be a strong ball, but it's got, yeah, like you're saying, it's got some shine to it. It's getting down the lane very clean.
The late 9 trip for Michelle there. She's putting together a nice game of her own.
Yeah, it's a good break. Clean with a turkey in the middle. Chance to finish it with a turkey.
Good shot there for Ryan Rington. Still going to be a fantastic overall score here. We'll get you the scoreboard shot after both anchors finish up game number 2 here. 721 for Linds Northern Stars Gold, featuring Dawn King, Gloria Gates, Ryan Oswood, and Paula Mills. 698 in the opener for Linds Northern Stars Silver, Carla Wico, Michelle Mackey, Michelle Lapousse, and Heather Grambo. Ryan converts the single pin, 237, so 437 at the turn for her. Looking to improve on a nice finish from last year. She had a big set in singles to crack the top 10 in the scratch portion of the Women's Championships.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of bowling. I haven't been out on the lanes a whole lot yet this year, so you better than I have an idea of what the bigger scores have been, and even maybe how they played them. I'm not really sure. I've just heard some of the better bowlers that have bowled, like Shannon O'Keefe and Kelly Kulik and that 630 to 650, very common. Haven't seen a lot of real, big stuff. The bigger scores we have had, I have not been out here to witness them.
We've had a few 740s have kind of been the high score, but those have been in the in minors, doubles and singles. So, after the lanes have had the chance to break down a little bit, I know on our leading team, Junior Team USA Support 1, Kristen Warzinski, very talented right-hander, led the way. I believe she was in the 690s.
Okay.
They had a lefty on their pair as well, Andy Tidelio. Might be mispronouncing that, hopefully not. But she was right around 680, and then they had another lefty and another righty who were right around 570 to 590.
Okay.
So they got to plus 155, 25-55 total.
Yeah, the other weird part is coming out and looking up at the scoreboards, and none of the numbers make sense with the change in format to four-person teams. You kind of have to stop and kind of reanalyze what you're really looking at, especially with the different divisions.
All right, after Heather's fill ball here, we'll go to the scoreboard shot. So that is the end of game 2 there. 737 for Linds Northern Stars Gold up on 17. And 719 for Linds Northern Stars Silver. So both teams below par through 2 here. So they'll need a really big finish if they want to get up to that top spot. But in talking to our current leaders in Diamond, with the change to 4-player teams, they felt that it's kind of a little bit tougher to maybe get to that big score like we've seen in the past, because you don't have that extra score that can catapult you if someone does struggle a little bit. I know we had a pretty solid team bowl yesterday with some ladies who've had some success here on the lanes. Erin Lenahan's had a 300 and a 297. Brandy Silva, a past team champion here, where if one person doesn't get going, it's kind of tough to make up that extra score. Whereas in the past, if you had one person who was maybe 550, 560, 2 other ladies could go be in the 660s and kind of negate that. Now it's almost everyone kind of has to be on the same page, all rolling at once. So that's going to be the tricky part, and that'll be interesting to watch throughout the 81-day event all the way till June 30th.
Everybody's got to do their part and chip in, or that if you are going to have somebody that does, whoever is going to be low on the team, you're just saying that score just has to be a little bit higher than you're saying the norm. Not that ability to have the extra person make up for it. So, very good possibility then that the scores may actually be closer to, the actual look of the divisions, so to speak. That I think we had a team take over the Ruby lead the other night. If you just look at the game-by-game scores, most of the ladies bowled their average for a couple games, but they all had one good game where they were over their average. And they're the leading score, and if you calculated their average score, they were only 130 pins over, what they came in at, which doesn't sound like a whole lot.
But amongst 4 people, that's a pretty sizable margin.
4 people, 40-some pins a bowler. But again, all it takes is a couple games over your average, and you're in the lead. So,
and that's generally been the case around here, especially the past few years when we had the handicap as part of the tournament. Being able to get to your team average, especially in Diamond, if you were par, that was 3,300 with the handicap, which sounds like a huge score, but that's just everyone getting to average.
Right.
And like I said, I think that'll be a similar situation here. Teams that are able, obviously, when you come out to the national event, it's a little bit tougher. Obviously, a lot of folks don't shoot their average out here, but teams that can find a way to be right around there are going to be the ones who are going to contend.
I would agree. That's the way it looks so far. Like I said, I haven't been out here a whole lot to see. Obviously, the amount of diamond teams is going to be the lowest percentage of bowlers we have in the tournament. So as we have a couple more come through, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, most of those bigger teams will be here at the end of the tournament when the Queens takes place, end of June. So just a little bit look at the tournament. It's going to play out a little bit differently than years past, just based on the schedule of some of our other events. But yeah, you might be writing quite a few articles that last week of the tournament for lead changes as things wind down. You might be busier.
Certainly so. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We're going to have we're almost going to be live streaming here for a week straight. Going to be a lot of folks coming into town right before Queen starts. So they'll use this as a chance to pair up, try to win a national title, and also get loose. Obviously, the Queens is over at the National Bowling Stadium. They have the opportunity to bowl the Open Championships as well. So I'm sure we're going to see plenty of the top lady bowlers in the world making their way out there and putting on a show here and over at the NBS.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think there'll be a spread out a little bit. I think most of those ladies that will be here for the Queens will probably be over the course of maybe 4 or 5 different squads. I think most of them will be, you'll have a lot of them that get here for the 4 o'clock team event, and then maybe a handful more for the 7 o'clock over the course of those 2 or 3 days leading into the Queens. But with qualifying taking place over there in the afternoon and evening, obviously they'll have to get their events done and out of the way over here before they get going there. So ball just looked a little bit quick, maybe just a little bit overthrown. Didn't have time to pick up and get around the corner.
Even that shot there from Gloria looked a little left off her hand, but there still seems to be, and like you mentioned, that looks like a Brunswick mastermind, so a little bit more aggressive bowling ball, but that still seemed to have some push down lane. And here we are in just starting game 3.
Yep, plus here we use Kegel's fire oil as opposed to ice over at the Open, which is a little more friction. Durability-wise, they hold up very well. But I can see where the ball here, it's easier for the ball to slow down and pick up here than it is on the ice oil. All things being equal. Here we're just right around 23 mils of oil. Definitely a decent amount of taper. So I would almost have to say if you don't see the ball moving sharply on the back end, it's probably burning up a little bit. Maybe a ball just a little bit cleaner through the front. Could turn over like that.
Yeah, Ryan got that one come back from quite a ways. Mixed them up. It's an early double for her. 4:37 at the turn for Ryan Oswald. We'll head up to the scoreboard in just a sec after Paula makes her shot here in the second. Leaves the 10 pin.
You could say, it's similar. She's inside, not quite the same line as Ryan. Definitely has different rotation and tilt on the ball. And she could probably afford to be a little further to the right where the ball could see a little more friction. Throwing a pretty shiny, looks like a Genius. And that ball just didn't turn over enough. It held nice to get to the pocket, but didn't have the ability to face the pocket to get the 10 out. So a little flat on the entry angle, but a clean frame, that's the key.
Certainly so. Linds Northern Stars clean through 3 so far. Dawn King, Gloria Gates, Ryan Oswood, and Paula Mills. Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for sticking around and joining us here on your Saturday afternoon. Once again, we apologize for some of the technical difficulties, but we are back now, and this is Aaron Smith and Eric Pearson wrapping up game number 3 for Linds Northern Stars out of Minnesota.
It goes quick too. I wonder if how that's playing into the format. I mean, obviously it's just one bowler per team, but working the tournament, it's just amazing how we get the squad started, and it just seems like before you know it, they're already in the third game, and we're getting ready for the next squad in the squad room, and the days are just rolling by very quickly with the changes and especially with the squad changes. I'm usually not here in the mornings. I'm usually one of the nighttime people managing, and like to be here during the bulk of the day during the team events. But we get the 8 a.m. doubles and singles through and the noon, and before you know it,
half the day's already over.
It seems like more than half the day, because you have your doubles and singles, basically 3.5-hour squads, and your team events now with 4 are only about. It's taken about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes to get their 3 games done. So yeah, I mean, even we get that 7 o'clock squad started, and it's just crazy how quick it goes. And the nice part of the schedule is most of the ladies are done bowling about 9:30, 9:40 if things are fairly on time, and basically they're all out the door on their shuttles back to their hotels, and by 10 o'clock at night, everything's pretty much wound up here. So I think that's a big positive. I'm hoping that we can find ways to stay with the schedule like this for the bowlers. I think it really helps and improves the bowlers' experience. The ladies aren't tired; they're fresh. We've noticed they come in for the 7 o'clock team. They're raring to go. They have a good time, and they know they're done and out the door before 10 o'clock at night. Whereas in the past, we'd have ladies just basically getting started with their doubles and singles event at like 9:30. So that has been a huge positive. The ladies really enjoy it. I'm hoping we can find ways in the future to stay with a similar schedule.
Yeah, certainly no bad squad times this year. Also working that way towards the Open Championships as well next year in El Paso. So really not a bad time to bowl anymore. 7 a.m.s are almost a thing of the past after this year at the Open, and then now here at the women's 8 o'clock, and you're out the door 10 p.m. So certainly gives you a chance to experience more what these great host cities have to offer. Obviously, Reno folks have been here; they know most of the spots, but there's always a few cool little places. Matt and I try to let folks know through our Facebook and Twitter accounts, just different places we've been to, and things are changing all the time here in the biggest little city in the world.
You two are a couple of social butterflies, so who better to hear from than Aaron Smith and Matt Canizaro, the B team, I like to call them.
Well, we certainly try our best. Once again, we apologize for the issues earlier. We're back and running now. Have Eric Pearson on, Women's Championships tournament manager and USBC's lane pattern guru, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
I'll have to think of a.
We do get a lot of help. Obviously, our consultants, our suppliers as Kegel Company, and the folks that they send out to help us set things up are a very integral part of it all. Using past information and results that we've had or liked or disliked. But yet every year is kind of a guess. It's not a science. It's never perfect. You do what you think you need to do, and once the tournament starts, it is what it is. And we just count on the lane guys to go out there and keep the machines running accurately and keep them clean and functioning and follow the routine day after day and provide every bowler with the same conditions over the course of the entire event. And it's a lot easier when you know they have very dependable products and machinery. It really helps, and the confidence level there is obviously very high.
It's a nice shot by Michelle, mixing it up for her first strike of game 3. Starting to see some X's up there on the scoreboard. Will go up in just a second here. We'll wait after Heather's delivery here in the 4th, looking to make it a perfect frame for Linds Northern Stars Silver.
Stayed a little bit light, just didn't get anything to roll into the 7 there. Pretty good shot.
Gloria comes up a little bit light there, leaving.
Yeah, and she's been high a couple of balls, and that one she floated out nice. She definitely got it to the right the way she wanted to, and I think in that case that ball just uses up a little bit too much getting to the spot. Kind of started to make its turn back and just kind of stayed there. I'd really like to see her throw a slightly weaker ball. Maybe even move a little bit right.
She covers the
Nice
bucket
spare,
with the
though.
biscuit. So we like to call it in Indiana.
That's right. With the biscuit.
With the biscuit, yes. You get the full meal that way.
And if you throw in the other corner pin, it's with what? With a side of what?
That takes skill. I have done.
You've never seen the bucket with a biscuit and a side of corn?
I've left it. I'm just ashamed to admit it, because it happens more
come
often
on.
than you would think.
Almost a bad break there for a 7-10. Another nice light hit, but nothing decides to roll into the 7. Both teams with a pretty good start here. A couple doubles.
Ryan takes care of the single pin there after the open in the 3rd. See if Paula Mills can get it going here. 3 spares to start game number 3. Dawn King's had a pretty good look these past game and a half or so. There's another strike for her. She had 1 open last game for 192. Sorry, 156 start, so she's starting to find the right look out here.
Mixing strike for Paula. Look at good ball speed. Very good tempo. Gave the ball a chance to roll up light, throw the pins around.
All right, stepping up on 18. There's Carla looking for 4 in a row. Never a doubt, takes care of it. See if Gloria can match her on 17. Still clean here. Good shot, rings a 10.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick pace, I've got to say.
It's a great shot by Michelle. Looks like folks are getting to the right part of the lane here.
Hang on.
Nice single pin for Gloria there, but like you said, finally seeing some strikes up there. A few struggles early on. Games 1-2, a little bit of nerves. Talked to a few of them. They did mention that, you know, having the cameras on them was.
I was wondering that.
Was a little intimidating at first, but it seems like they're kind of falling into their groove here. Obviously looking good with the matching team shirts provided by Linds, their team sponsor. And a common thing here for the women's championships, teams dressing alike, earning that pride pin.
Yeah, that's a lot of teams. We've kept track from year to year, and yeah, it can be anywhere from 70 to 80% of the teams that make the effort to come with matching shirts and slacks or shorts. I would definitely say here at the women's championship still has a good, kind of old school bowling feel to it. Team camaraderie, and they all come, dressed in uniforms, and they really enjoy bowling with different people. They don't necessarily come with crossing teams. That's very different than the Open. They're more apt to come, with a companion team, but not necessarily bowl with a companion team.
It's very true.
The thought process there is we bowl with those people 32 weeks out of the year in league. We want to come to the tournament and meet some new people. So it's a little bit different on that end. Many of the teams actually bring a small gift or something to exchange with the teams that they cross with. So just some of the traditional things that take place here at the women's.
Very true. Obviously, another big hit here is the friendship squad, which usually takes place early in the event.
It has been, yep.
Which gives bowlers a chance who maybe don't have a full team to sign up maybe just 2 folks, so they have a doubles partner, and then they get randomly matched up. And so you get to meet new people, usually always a big squad. Folks really enjoy that. We even had a lady who got her 49th tournament this year, Vivian Harrison.
Okay.
Was part of the friendship squad this year, so I know she was looking forward to that. She met some great new ladies who I think they were already talking about maybe making a full team for next year just off of that.
Yeah, we try to go about it a little bit different this year. It's not necessarily a requirement, but to help us try and pair teams together, I kind of suggested that we make it a true, as far as being the friendship squad, kind of the bring a friend, bring the friend to be your doubles partner, and then we'll pair you up with 2 more people as a team. So as for scheduling purposes, if we could continue to go that direction, it's a lot nicer. It was really rough when there were 5-person teams. Some would sign up alone, some would come as pairs. It was really difficult. Someone decides they can't make it, or something comes up and last minute they don't make the trip, and now we're looking for substitutes. So we'll continue to try and approach it in that fashion, that the friendship squad is you and a friend bowl doubles together, and we'll pair you up with 2 more bowlers to make a 4-person team. It went very well this year.
And obviously the change to 4-person teams as well makes that even easier, makes a lot of the arrangements easier for these folks. Folks who would usually only bring 1 team would have to find either bring a 6th who would have to find a team to bowl on, possibly not, or
Correct.
Someone would have to try to find a doubles partner, and maybe just make the trip all the way out here to bowl teams. So now, no more issues with that. Easier to make travel arrangements, hotel arrangements. Certainly a good outlook for the future here for the Women's Championships.
Yeah, and it was something the bowlers had been asking for over the surveys over numerous years. We're saying that I think we just had to reach a point in time where it's almost the norm out in the field. Most leagues, most state tournaments, association tournaments are no longer 5-person. Obviously a big change. I'm sure there's a lot of ladies out there that really miss coming with the same 5 ladies that they've bowled numerous years with. Hopefully they've found ways to pair up and maybe form a second team so that those ladies can still make the trip and have the experience together. But a fairly high majority of survey results over the years did say 4-person was worth looking into, and we finally made the decision to go to it. And we'll see what goes from here. Obviously, everything we do, every change we make, we keep an eye on. And obviously, in the last just my tenure since 2009, we've had a lot of changes. Whether they're for the better or the worse, I can't say. Just decisions are made to try to improve things wherever you can. And there's nothing you're going to do that everybody's going to agree with, but you try to do what you can to improve the event and hopefully build and grow on the event, which I feel is very promising right now. I don't think we'll really see whether the 4-person change or going back to the scratch format. We're not really going to see the rewards of that for probably a couple more years. We have a really good lineup of cities coming up. We'll be back in Reno one more time next year at the bowling stadium. A lot of ladies are excited about that. One more trip back to the stadium. Then we have Las Vegas coming up in the new venue, and Baton Rouge is on the calendar.
Certainly is a exciting look down the road. Obviously, some of the folks might get a little worn out on the Reno. This is the 3rd or 4 years in a row, but after 2015, variety is the name of the game here at the Women's Championships. You mentioned Las Vegas in 2016, the very first big USBC event to go to the brand new facility at South Point. So the ladies will get to break that place in for us, and one of many tournaments we'll see over there over the upcoming years. Baton Rouge in 2017. It's been a great host for 2 Open Championships already. They always look forward to having the bowlers in town. Back to Reno in 2018, then 2019 for the 100th edition. We're going back to bowling centers.
Yep.
In Wichita, so it'll be a retro feel for the 100th anniversary of this fantastic event. Back to Las Vegas in 2020, Mobile, Alabama in 2021, Vegas again 2022, and then back to Reno. It's 5 years in between, 2023. So so the variety is definitely.
Yeah, so I believe that, that coupled with the 4-person scratch format, more divisions, I think that'll all take shape, and it just sounds very promising. I think a lot of the things ladies ask for, things they bring up, whether it's their comments, concerns, a lot of things that they've been concerned about over the last few years have all been addressed. They ask why we come to Reno. Obviously that situation's been explained a bunch of times. The new cities are on the lineup. The asking of why not 4-person teams, it's been addressed. We're trying it. Back to the old traditional format of more divisions and scratch competition. Been done, taken care of. We tried handicap for 3 years. We've now gone back to scratch. So I'm hoping we've kind of settled in here and found our norm for, I'm hoping 3, 4, 5 years down the road, if not longer.
Well, hopefully that
But as always, we'll see how things go, and we'll continue to analyze.
Certainly, so not afraid to make changes around here based on bowler feedback. So we are listening to the comments. We do go through the comments section, and we keep up, and we go through the surveys. We find out what the folks are thinking about, and we attempt to accommodate as much as we can. And like you said, here's the first look: 4-player teams, scratch standings here, and strikes away here in game number 3
yeah,
for
they're bowling very
Linds
well.
Northern Stars.
Very well. It's like everybody's kind of settled in here, so maybe you're right. Maybe a little antsy to get started, or with the cameras on, maybe not totally focused, slightly distracted. But everybody's starting to kind of calm in here. And
take a look at the scoreboard after Michelle's 10-pin there. There's definitely a few more strikes on the board here.
And as with any team, they're all going to look back and say, oh, I could have done this, or a couple missed spares here and there. Most people are critical of their games when they're done. My group just finished up bowling the Open this last week, and as much as we prepare and plan and are excited to go out and bowl, we always get done, and I always kind of look back and say, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I made a couple bad shots here and there that cost me a lot of pins. I'm sure a few of these ladies will be saying that when they finish up, but right now they're looking real strong here.
Yeah, definitely some momentum coming into tomorrow, especially for Carla Wico. Saw his 260s out there here through 8 frames after a little bit of a rough start, 161, 172. She's taking care of business right here, leading the way.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird how I think a lot of people, the tournament's kind of built around your team event. You come to participate and bowl with your team and try to put up the biggest number you can. But to me, sometimes when it's all said and done, it's only 3 of your 9 games. You get done, and if you bowl great, you're happy, and if you have a rough night, or your team score isn't quite what you wanted, below expectations, you kind of feel like, oh, we didn't, you're disappointed, but yet you still have 2/3 of your games to bowl the next day, and you really need to regroup and take what you can out of the team event and turn around and get yourself prepared, because very easily turn around and have six big games tomorrow. And right now it looks like they're finding something. So
depending on when they bowl tomorrow, let's see. Looks like they're back for the noon squad. So obviously they'll be following folks from the 8 a.m. shift.
Yeah.
So
based on lane play, yeah, there might be a couple of fresh pairs out here. It's hard to say. Yeah, I mean, they might be unfresh, which in that case they'll be able to see similar breakdown, or maybe break them down different.
It looks like they're at least know what part of the lane they need to be in to start seeing some scores, and that's always a big thing as well, kind of figuring out, especially staying on the same pattern here, unlike the Open, which has two different patterns. You do kind of find out what may work, what may not work, so at least you can eliminate the stuff you already know that doesn't work.
Yeah, and a lot of times we get questions about having a second shift and why isn't it fresh for every squad. And I mean, to me, if people were here day in and day out and they watch the majority of bowling going on, the lanes don't transition nearly like they would if it was an Open Championships, with stronger bowling balls, higher rev rates going down the lane. If anything, here you get more oil drag down the lane from lower flaring equipment, lower rev rates, plastic bowling balls. So it's not to say that they're not different, but the amount of transition is not nearly the same here, and we haven't really seen a need to recondition lanes every single squat time. I don't see that happening here in the near future. You never know.
There's a big double by Ryan after a few rough frames there. Looks like she tightened up her angles a little bit there, moved in just a touch, and she's back to her striking ways.
That's good pace. I think that ball speed's good for her.
There's the first double for Paula Mills. So definitely opened up a little bit for them. Definitely looks like the arm swing's a little looser now, and getting some carry, getting some hits, getting to the pocket, throwing some strikes. So Dawn is ready to bowl 3 more after this. She is lined up and ready to go.
A little bit of a tug there. She's been playing a real tight line. I mean, she's got a really good game going. Again, it looks like she's throwing a fairly strong ball. Definitely not giving it a lot of room, but she's just a matter of hitting her mark most of the game and having that ball hold line. I believe the one spare in the middle was a little bit high, 4-pin.
It was a pocket hit. I don't recall off the top of my head, but
that one there she helped a little bit. Got it obviously inside of her mark.
There's a nice shot by
Should be
Glory.
an easy spare, and hopefully she can throw a couple in the 10th frame here and finish out a really solid game.
It still has 249 out there.
This is where they start to say, has this look been here the whole day? Was I just not in the right spot, or did we develop this? Is it a little bit of both? So yeah, regardless of what they finished with, I think coming in tomorrow, their confidence has to be a lot more right now than it was a game ago, or maybe some of them were questioning what they were doing on the lanes, where they were at.
There's 3 in a row for Oswood.
That ball rolled early. Yeah, they've definitely transitioned the lane in that spot. That ball did not push down the lane at all. She threw that pretty decent. She looked pretty happy with it when she let go, and it checked up real early.
Paula looking for a 3-bagger of her own. 4-pin high. We are in the 9th frame, almost all said and done here. We'll take a look at the scoreboard after Michelle's attempt here at the baby split.
Well, I just think it shows you that even though it's not necessarily a sport condition, it is definitely very challenging. You know, you still see all the same things you see on tougher patterns. You know, a little bit inside the target goes high, a little bit wide, may not read the lane well and get back and strike. You don't get out of the ball quite the way you want. It's real easy to get 8 or 9. I think you see all that out here, so to come out here and earn a big score, you still have to really perform and throw the ball well.
Okay, there's a look at the scoreboard, and we're back to action here.
She hit up on that ball a lot. A little bit too much reaction down lane, and it kind of quit.
Carla back on track,
looking to
finish this game off here. 2:49, still out there.
I'd like to see Michelle spare this up and just maybe soften up her hand a little bit for the 10th frame. Get the ball to continue a little bit stronger motion on the back end.
All right, second shot of the 10th for Carla.
Another 4-pin.
Just a bit high. With the spare, 239.
That's looking like a pretty decent shot. It rolls up early, too. Now the anchor bowler, Heather's got a real good hand in the ball, and she could probably afford to move in a little bit and try and open up the lane a hair more. She had a double going into the 9th there. That ball just overreacted on her a little bit, as well as a bowler earlier in the lineup. So
with the spare, she's still on pace to put up a 600 here.
There's a chance that lane 18 is just kind of going away right now and maybe going through another transition just right at this particular time, because it looked like that frame, they all threw the ball pretty much how they wanted to, and a couple of them went through the nose. So we'll see what happens on the other team coming back to lane 18 for the 10th frame. There's a couple doubles up on the boards. They may need to make a little move left here just to guarantee they still stay in the pocket. She's already fairly deep.
That one checked early. Another 310. Well, folks, while we still have you on here as we finish up the 10th frame, just a reminder, tomorrow evening here in Reno, the Minnesota theme is going to continue on. We are going to live stream from the Open Championships the doubles and singles from the Linds Lakers, keeping the Linds theme going, featuring 3-time Eagle winner Matt McNeil, Sam Lanto, John Ice, and their talented crew. That'll be starting at 10:30 p.m. out here in Reno. So for you folks on the East Coast,
that's a late one.
You're staying up late, or you're checking out the archive on Bowl TV. But be sure to tune in. And of course, our next live stream from the Women's Championships will be May 14th as we broadcast defending scratch team champion Eagles Edge Pro Shop, featuring John K. Arman, Tina Beck, Joey Biondo, and Carrie Caduto. So we'll be looking forward to that. We got some variety shows coming up. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/BowlTV to find out all the latest and greatest. You can also see all the archives from this and all of our other live streams here from Reno, as well as plenty of great coaching and just all a bunch of neat little things. So be sure to check that out. Right now we still have some unfinished business here on the lanes.
So the Linds guys bowl their doubles and singles tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
When do they bowl team?
20 minutes.
They're on tonight. Okay.
They're on tonight.
Well, Matt McNeil promised me cobbler and coffee, and he hasn't called me yet. Maybe he's planning on it when they're all wrapped up.
I thought you lefties stick together like that. It's like
yes and no.
you guys think the same way and think of cobbler and coffee all at the same time. And apparently, I was misinformed.
Well, that's one of his big treats. I guess he enjoys that. I'm sure he'll beat my my score on the left side by at least. What do you think?
Probably had that after 8.
Thanks.
Maybe even 7.
I wouldn't doubt it.
All right, 215 for Don King. Gloria Gates, 188. Ryan Oswood.
That needs to
Still
hold.
get to 220s.
Nice shot.
She's going to have herself a nice start for all events. 2031 on top of Division 1 right now. Stacy Watson of San Diego set that score last week. Shell finishes up 172. That's a big 5-bagger there after a few opens in the middle of that game. Ryan Oswood bouncing back nicely. 237 in her first 2. So 657 with a strike. Great start overall. Final shot. Comes in a little light, mixes it up 219. For 656. Heather's going to be in the 600s as well. One more strike for 217. She's at a low 600 here. It was nice to see that both teams got stronger as the day progressed, as lanes opened up a little bit. Both teams are going to be above the 800 mark here, so always a nice number for the Diamond Division to hit.
Yep.
Heather finishes up 217. Puts her at 608. So Linds Northern Stars silver in the books, 22-27, 698, 719, 810. Proved every game. Linds Northern Stars gold. I believe can just fall short of the 2300 mark here. And 20 more pins on top. We'll get you the scoreboard as soon as Paula finishes up here. We wrap up for the day.
Now one more shot on 18 goes a little bit early. So I think you're right. Maybe a little bit lighter volume to the outside, some more aggressive bowling balls to start. They probably burn that up pretty good. And maybe not necessarily all the bowlers chased it in quick enough. But made some decent moves here at the end and threw a couple strong games to finish.
So Paula Mill finishes up 203. For Linds Northern Stars gold, 825. The finale for 2283. So both teams a little bit lower than probably what they were hoping out here, but I think we got to see a great variety of styles out there today.
Yes,
I got to see a few different angles attacked on the lane, so hopefully for you folks watching at home, we have 150 folks tuned in right now. This was a great example of kind of what to expect out here. And these ladies put on a nice show, especially at the end here, got a little bit more comfortable. Both teams put up nice numbers to finish up the day. So, Eric, any final parting thoughts here on what we saw this last game and a half?
No, I think it shows that, what is out there, what's capable. Every bowler definitely has to come with their own game plan. You got to throw enough practice balls. I always recommend throwing at least 2 pieces of equipment during your practice time just to see how they react. You might feel like one ball's got decent reaction, but you might have another one that could just be a couple boards different and give you even better ball motion, better pin carry, or if nothing else, it shows you what you might be able to move to as the day goes on. So don't just have it in the mindset that you're going to walk out with one particular piece of equipment and play a particular line. Really use your few minutes of practice to the best of your ability to see what's truly out there on the lanes.
All right, Eric. Once again, we appreciate you stepping in, giving us this great insight. Eric Pearson, USBC Women's Championships Tournament Manager, taking some time to join us in the booth today. Once again, we do apologize for the technical issues earlier in the day, but I'm glad we were able to get you the last game and a half there pretty much without any issues. So on behalf of everyone in the chat room today, thanks for letting us know we were having sound issues and letting us know when we got it right. We do appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, Bowl TV in Reno will be on tomorrow night late, 10:30 p.m. East or 10:30 p.m. out here in Reno, 1:30 a.m. Eastern. Matt McNeil and Linds Lakers, doubles and singles. So on behalf of Eric Pearson, thank you again, sir.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Matt.
Matt Cannizzaro. I'm Aaron Smith. So once again, this is the news for now. We'll see you on the lanes. Thanks again, folks.